Hello, and welcome to Unity of Fredericksburg. My name is Judy Laganga, and I am pleased to welcome all of you to the Unity of Fredericksburg weekly online gathering. At Unity of Fredericksburg, we are advancing the movement of spiritual awakening and transformation through unity, a positive path for spiritual living. We thank those of you watching on YouTube, live or later, and invite you to subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you are able to attend live, we encourage you to join us in the Zoom community room for the full Sunday morning experience, including music, prayer, and connection. Our weekly newsletter includes the Sunday service link, and you can subscribe to receive that on our website at uofva.org. That's uofva.org. For everyone local to Central Virginia, Unity of Fredericksburg offers a variety of fun and enriching in-person gatherings every month. Subscribe to our weekly newsletter at uofva.org for all the details. Our message today comes from our minister, Reverend Cheryl Fair. And now, here's Reverend Cheryl.
Thank you, Judy, and welcome everyone who is with me in the Zoom room right now. We've been having a nice pre-show chat, and for all of you watching on YouTube, whether you're watching now or later, or picking up our message perhaps on Facebook later on through our Facebook page, we're just so happy to have you as a part of the community that is Unity of Fredericksburg. And believe you me, even if you're just watching and you haven't connected with us yet, we feel that energy and we appreciate you. So thanks for being here. Today is Sunday, March the 8th, and I want to offer my congratulations for all of you who have arrived on time. Welcome to daylight saving time. So always a big transition for all of us to, change all those analog clocks. At least our digital devices kind of do it on their own and remind us what the time is now. So I just wanted to share my favorite daylight saving time joke. And it's actually like a cartoon. So I'm going to tell you about the cartoon, something I saw on social media years ago. So it's a cartoon of coffee sizes. So all of, Starbucks. So it's like, oh, here's the tall coffee, and then here's the grande, and then the third one is a bucket, like a whole bucket of coffee, and this is for labeled as the Monday after daylight saving time. And I think it's true for a lot of people. They feel it on the Sunday, but for a lot of people, you just kind of muddle your way through on Sunday, and then it's Monday, you're like, what time is it? Let me get the coffee. So welcome everyone. I'm glad to have you here on time. So for the month of March here at Unity of Fredericksburg, our focus is on being whole in spirit, which of course is the truth of what we are. Now, last week we talked about the gift of healing. Today, my title is The Blessing of Wholeness, and healing and wholeness definitely kind of knit together in wonderful ways. I'm going to start off with a story, and it may be something that's familiar to you. As we get ready for the story, I want you to bring to mind just an image of a simple ceramic bowl, a pottery bowl of some sort. So you can imagine what the size is, what the color is, if there's a pattern on it or something, if it comes from, a potter that who made it. Maybe you made it yourself, or maybe you bought it at a store. You just hold that in your mind. This story is about a bowl. It was simple and unremarkable, and a teacher used it every morning. It fit nicely in the hands and held the heat just right. One day, a student reached across the table and knocked it to the floor. The bowl shattered. The student apologized and offered to replace it with something finer. Instead, the teacher repaired the bowl, sealing the cracks with lacquer mixed with gold. When the repair was finished, the fractures were clearly visible. The students saw the bowl and said, "But teacher, now everyone can see where it was broken." The teacher smiled, poured some soup into the bowl, and said, "Yes, now they can see where it was worth repairing. It is not new, but it is whole." So many of you will recognize this story as related to the Japanese art of repairing broken pottery with gold. This art form is called kintsugi, and it's spelled Kintsugi, pronounced kintsugi, and it dates back to the 15th century. And this practice of kintsugi honors essential wholeness, in particular in a piece of ceramics, but wholeness that is never diminished by the bumps and breaks of daily life. The bowl is never discarded. We don't want to go, "Oh, there's a chip, get rid of it and get a new one." Its essence and worthiness is never questioned. And the mindful process of making repairs kind of reveals the wholeness that is always present, no matter how things appear. So, the bowl that you had in your mind, or maybe it's a teacup or a coffee mug, whatever it is that you want, I want you to now imagine that it's been through some stuff, right? It has some cracks. It maybe the handle fell off if there's a handle or something like that. And I want you to kind of imagine it as having been mended through this process of kintsugi. And I have an affirmation that goes with that. So here's our first affirmation of the day. I perceive wholeness in every circumstance. I perceive wholeness in every circumstance. Now, in unity teachings, wholeness is richly involved in our first two principles. Principle one being God, or whatever word you use, is everywhere and always present in every circumstance. This divine energy underlies and animates all of existence. Principle two, human beings are innately good because they are connected to and an expression of spirit. So when we remember these principles, we know that we are whole, even when our outer experience feels fractured, like that bowl, right? We can recognize that in our human lives, bumps and breaks will happen. Things happen, accidents happen, mistakes happen, misunderstandings happen. And none of those events in our human lives can ever diminish our essential wholeness. And we have the opportunity to practice healing constantly, ongoing in our lives. And we can view our lives just like that ceramic bowl, mended with gold, beautiful and whole, even with the little chip replaced and or the little crack mended. So bring to mind that piece of pottery again. Here's another affirmation. I am whole, even when life feels broken. I am whole, even when life feels broken. Write it down. Use it later, okay? Now, Unity founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, developed Unity teachings based on the ministry of Jesus, as documented in the Bible. So we can trace these unity principles all the way back to the Gospel of John, when Jesus said, "The Father and I are one." Now, at this time, in history, this was a radically bold statement, because the Bible up until that time, you can see the history is like it's always about an outer God that's doing things, it's stories about that God. Here is Jesus flipping the script and saying, the Father and I are one. And in this way, he shows us our divinity as well, because he affirmed that everything that he did, we could do and more. And also in the Gospel of John, he talked about how he was one with the Father, just as we are one with the Father. And that's where this principle of this essential wholeness, oneness, comes from. This truth of our being, no matter how things are going in our outer lives, no matter how messed up we are feeling, or what mistake we made, or, oh, my leg hurts, all of that aside, we are whole. We express wholeness through every cell of our body. Is doing that all the time. So once again, kind of bring to mind that image that you're working of a piece of pottery that's been mended with threads of gold. And here's another affirmation. I am one with the one in divine unity. I am one with the one in divine unity. All right, my friends. Now, all of this is well and good, super spiritual and everything, right? And we know that there are any number of spiritual practices that we can use to help us remember that essential wholeness. And that's a lot of what we do here on Sunday morning. Is let's look at a different spiritual practice of how we can remind ourselves that we are 100% divine all the time. And I say and rather than but, because I haven't done that teaching in a while, but I do invite everyone to enjoy but-free living. Let's take that word but and put it to the side. Let's say and not only are we 100% divine all the time, we are also 100% human all the time. We are having this expression, this life in a human body, living in a material world. We feel the feelings and think the thoughts and all the stuff that comes up with our human experiences. So, in Unity, we seek to provide spiritual practices that help support us in those moments. And yes, help remind us of the truth of what we are. Now, last week, we were talking about healing, and I told you that my message was brought to you by the letter O, right? We talked about healing as ongoing. We talked about shifting obstacles to opportunities, and I have another O for you today. What we're going to talk about right now is outcomes. So, have you noticed that your human brain is very geared toward outcomes, right? We want to get the thing, do the thing, finish the thing, fix the thing. We know how we want things to go, right? Our brain knows what's good and what's bad. In the process of seeking certain outcomes, our brains naturally go into judgment mode, and they judge, oh, this outcome is good, that outcome is bad. Now, I'll feel happy if this happens, I'll feel sad if that happens. And of course, we want the good stuff and the happy stuff, right? We want things to happen in a certain way. And if they don't, we say, oh, that's sad. Or, oh, I feel mad about that because the outcome that our brain had labeled as, desirable was not met. Now, we also live in a culture that emphasizes this kind of thinking of setting goals and being all about achievement, particularly in American cultures, very achievement oriented, very winner winner kind of oriented. And there are even plenty of spiritual practices that encourage us to visualize certain outcomes, right? Even, these are, so the point is, all of these things are all about managing our outer lives, things that we want in our outer lives, right? So I want you to notice, think back to how we started today talking about the practice of kintsugi and how very different that approach, that orientation is from how our brains want to manage our outer lives. So our achievement oriented culture would say, throw out that broken bowl. Let's get a new bowl. And then, our culture would be there with a whole bunch of suggestions of where you could get your new bowl and the new kind of bowl you should get and all those things. So it's really important when we are kind of living in that soup of goal oriented, achievement oriented vibes out there in the world to pay attention to our attitudes around outcomes with situations coming up in our lives. Our spiritual teachers, more than I could ever name, remind us that spiritual work, healing work, is an inside job. It's not about managing outer outcomes. In unity affirmative prayer, we do not pray for certain outcomes. Rather than outcomes, we pray to expand our awareness of the divine aspects of our true nature. We claim our 12 powers. We shine the light of love. We trust in divine order in all circumstances. We don't use our prayers to try to manage our outer lives, the outcomes in our outer lives. These are a couple of quotes I have here that I've used recently. I'm going to use them again. So, in the words of Unity founder Myrtle Fillmore, we are not concerned about the results or outcomes, but the change in consciousness that makes the result abiding. The change of consciousness around whatever situation you are dealing with. So, your thoughts, your feelings around it, not the specific outcomes. Here's a quote from Unity minister and author Eric Butterworth. We're not trying to work out something from without. We're trying to release that divine flow from within. So, on a spiritual level, at the level of consciousness, holding specific outcomes in our mind actually blocks us from the opportunities that are infinitely available to us. If you're like, I want this one, I want it to be this big, and I want it to happen on Tuesday, and that's how I want it to be, then you're not seeing anything outside of this tunnel that you've created for yourself by doing this kind of outcome thinking. And spiritual laws will, the way the universe flows will follow suit with what you decide you want to think. So if you get into outcome thinking, I want it this way, then our brain will naturally go, oh, we want it this way. So the only thing your brain is going to look for is things that are in alignment with that. And again, all the other opportunities that your little brain hasn't thought of yet are not available to you because you're so fixed on a certain outcome. So rather than be fixated on particular outcomes, I encourage you to be present to opportunities in every moment, no matter how broken things appear. So something happens, your brain goes, oh, that's broken. We can't ever fix that, whether it's, a bowl or a relationship or whatever it is. We're not meant to be functioning at that level of judging, oh, that's broken. I mean, that's all like ego, personality thinking. We are meant to be where I'm encouraging you, inviting you to be affirming your divine qualities as powerful and active and opening yourself up to opportunities. So, once again, I want you to kind of bring to mind this piece of pottery that you're imagining today and how it's all glued together with gold thread. And we have another affirmation here. Healing is a creative process in consciousness. Healing is a creative process in consciousness. So I can choose, just like the kintsugi artisan, I can choose to put my life back together, per se, in however I want, not according to the outer rules of what's good, bad, happy, sad. So imagine that you are the artisan, your little piece of broken pottery. You can approach that broken pottery that represents your life with intention, with reverence, with presence. When you have healing work to do, be sure to approach yourself with tenderness, with gentleness, with intention, just like the kintsugi artisan. It is your work to do to carefully bring back together the appearance of brokenness. Your healing process is not passive, it's a conscious practice of aligning with truth, the truth of what you are. And I'll always kind of remind you, Unity's 12 powers are a really quick reference point that you can use when you are writing an affirmation, doing your prayer practice, working on this that I'm talking about, affirming your divine strength, your divine wisdom, divine order, divine love. You don't take the pieces of your life and cast them aside. Nothing is wasted in spirit. Every experience can be used for awakening. Nothing is hidden or erased in this process of kintsugi. We don't hide. We show with the mending. The cracks become the beauty that you are. The pain that you feel becomes wisdom. Loss becomes spaciousness. Challenge becomes catalyst. All those healed pieces become kind of your ministry of how you show up in the world. Those gold lines on your little piece of pottery become your testimony in this world. So here's another affirmation. Again, bringing to mind the piece of pottery that you're imagining. Every part of my story is sacred. Every part of my story is sacred. So, in the weeks to come, in this season of Lent leading up to Easter Sunday, ask yourself, what are the cracks in my pottery? What cracks are asking to be mended? It's a really good practice to do during Lent, where we are practicing releasing and reimagining, which is the theme of the Lent booklet from Unity. Also ask yourself, where is the gold of spirit being applied in your life right now? In what fissure, what crack, what rupture is being healed right now? And as that ongoing activity of healing takes place, I encourage you to support yourself with a devoted practice of affirming wholeness. Because no matter how things appear in your outer life, in your physical body, in your emotional relationships, in your thoughts, in your mind, no matter how things are appearing, if they feel broken or chaotic or whatever, wholeness is the truth of what you are. supporting yourself with a practice that reminds you and affirms wholeness will help you manage all this stuff in the outer world. Here's another affirmation: I am whole and I am grateful. I am whole and I am grateful. So, this blessing of wholeness will support you through all of life's challenges, otherwise known as opportunities, right? So, we're going to move into a time of meditation now. So, I invite you to get a little more comfortable. Take a couple of deep breaths. Let your hands rest softly in your lap. Just notice your breath. Notice the natural rhythm of your breath. Nothing forced about it. We're not going to have to breathe in a certain way. Just with each inhale, I encourage you to just feel a little more settled in this moment. With each exhale, feel yourself relaxing. And once again, bring to mind that image of a simple piece of pottery. It has lived a long life. It's held meals or memories and moments. And like all things that exist out here in this physical world, it has known some moments of breaking. In this moment, just witness the cracks, the places where life has split it open. There's nothing to be sad about. We don't need to label it. We just witness it. Witness its wholeness expressing, no matter how things appear. Let this piece of pottery be a mirror for your own heart. Imagine approaching it with tenderness, shining love and light into all the mended cracks. And where there's a fresh break, gather the pieces with reverence, hold them gently with compassion, affirming wholeness and unity. And now we're going to move into a time of stillness together. As we slowly begin to come back to the present moment, once again, bring your attention to the breath, moving in and out. Bring to mind again that image of a mended piece of pottery, and imagine the gold of spirit holding together the sacred pieces of your soul's path. Every crack mended with care and love, every little bump, every oopsie along the way brought together in unity. And the opportunity to express wholeness through each one of those events. So we're going to close our time of meditation with an affirmation. It's a repeat of one we just did. I am whole and I am grateful. Say it with me, friends. I am whole and I am grateful. One more time. I am whole and I am grateful. Yes, indeed, my friends. Thanks so much for being here today. And I'm going to hand it back to our friend Judy. Are you there, Judy?
Yes.
There, I see you. There you are.
Sorry, there I am. Got lost in that meditation somehow.
Well, good.
Okay. Hi. Oh, there I am. Thanks for watching the weekly broadcast from Unity of Fredericksburg. Visit our website, uofva.org, to learn more about our mission of spiritual awakening and transformation, and support our ministry with your financial donation. Thanks again for watching, and see you next time.